Will you trade the stock market 23 hours a day? Well, it might be possible starting December 6th. The US stock exchanges are proposing to make that change where we will add another trading session from 9 p.m. Eastern Time until 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, as you may already know, we have a pre-market session now, which runs from 4 a.m. till 9:30, with most of the trading occurring from 7 a.m. till 9:30. And the nice thing about this session from 4 till 9:30 is that there's no halts. And so stocks can really make big moves during that time. And it's the same for the after hours session, which currently runs from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. If a stock is starting to move, the normal limit up, limit down halts that you get during the regular trading session are not in effect. And so for a lot of active day traders, these pre-market and aftermarket sessions are quite desirable. So will that be the case for this added overnight session? So right now, what's proposed is that the market will close at 8 p.m. for an hour, and then it will resume trading at 9 p.m. and run until 4 a.m. The difference, however, is that stocks will not be allowed to trade outside of a price band. So they may get halted permanently until the morning session starts. So the way this band is going to work is the price will be determined at 7:45 p.m. and using the 4 p.m. close as well. So the higher of those two prices, let's say the stock closed at $5 at 4 p.m. and $6 at 7:45, the stock will not be allowed to trade more than 20% above that price, as long as that 20% is no less than $3. So a $4 stock, or a stock that closes at $4, 20% would be 80 cents. So you would think that the price band would take effect at 4.80, but actually it'll take effect at $7. The minimum band is $3 for stocks over $1. For stocks under $1, the minimum band is $1. So what can happen is if a stock really starts to move in that overnight session, it'll be limited to the lesser of $3, or sorry, the greater of $3 or 20%. So a $40 stock, 20% of a $40 stock is $8. Well, it won't be allowed to trade more than $3 higher, $43. But a $2 stock could trade as high as $5 in that overnight session. If it gets beyond the band, then it's simply going to be halted. And it will only resume trading at 4 a.m. Now, our normal halts are, if a stock moves more than 10%, it gets halted for 5 minutes. There will be no time limit if a stock just in these overnight sessions just won't be allowed to trade beyond their price band. But the bigger question is, will you trade it? And the main issue here is liquidity. If a stock doesn't have a lot of liquidity, then it's dangerous to trade it at any point. Most stocks, most of the time, are not worth trading in even the normal extended hour sessions from 4 p.m. till 8 p.m. or from 4 a.m. in the morning until 9:30 before the market opens. But some stocks are. Stocks that put out news, stocks that have some excitement, they will trade very actively in those extended sessions, and they're actually quite desirable to trade. I do it a lot because there's great volatility without trading halts. So I think this overnight session isn't going to be that meaningful. It's going to lack liquidity. It'll allow people overseas from North America to be able to get into a stock at something close to the price that they maybe got in the normal regular session. But other than that, I don't think you're going to see a lot of liquidity in these extended sessions. And quite frankly, I don't want to trade 23 hours a day, and I'm sure you don't either. All right, well, let's get into the normal market analysis, and we'll take a look at how the exchanges, the major indexes, traded this past week. So we'll jump into the Stockscores website. Just a reminder, you can sign up for my free weekly email right here. I send out an email every week, and I pick stocks in that email. I discuss different concepts, and I think it's well worth doing. I don't send out a bunch of spam or anything, so it's something to take a look at. Let's start with a look at the S&P 500. SPY is the symbol, and this is the daily chart. You can see that the S&P in the last 2 weeks has gone to new highs, and that sets up for a continuation of the long-term upward trend on SPY, and of course the short-term trend on the 1 month is up as well. Moving along to the NASDAQ exchange, QQQ is the symbol there, and it is recovering from this selling pressure. So we had this sell-off here as a big hedge fund got unwound, probably some shenanigans that forced that big hedge fund, which was heavily invested in AI stocks, to be pressured to basically liquidate itself. And then some other big hedge funds snapped up the cheap shares. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that's something that caused a lot of this weakness. Now that that's run its course, we've seen these tech stocks bounce back. They're not keeping up with the large cap stocks in general because they're still below the highs from June, but certainly have recovered. Now, if we look at the 1 month chart here, you can see that the downward move was broken. We built a little rising bottom right here, broke up from the rising bottom, and are now building an optimistic pattern there. So it looks decent for the NASDAQ stocks in the short term, but they still need to break through that price threshold. IWM breaking to new highs, volumes very light, typical of the summer, but good looking momentum and a market to be watching for opportunity. Next up is the Toronto Stock Exchange, also moving to new highs and really starting to go parabolic. You can see the trend line here. We're running away from that. So that sets up for the possibility of some profit taking, but no signs of that profit taking yet. So the TSX remains strong. Moving along to gold. Gold is an interesting chart. And let's look at the 3-year weekly chart on this one, because gold had that parabolic run to the upside coming into 2026, broke the upward trend line after a bursting bubble candle here, this red candle there, I call that a bursting bubble, hits a new high, closes below the open. Then we broke the upward trend, and that set up for 4 months of weakness. Well, that cycle of weakness was broken 2 weeks ago, and we're holding those gains last week. And so I think that the market may make a little rally here for gold, but typically when a market goes parabolic, it doesn't go to new highs on the bounce back. And so it's likely that we'll actually make a falling top. And if we break down from a falling top, that becomes quite a bearish signal. None of that has happened yet. I'm just giving you things to watch. But for now, the market for gold is stabilizing, and I think probably goes up in the short term, but I just don't think it's going to go to new highs, or it's not likely to go to new highs. Now, oil is obviously very volatile with headlines that come out of the Middle East regarding Iran, but it's still very high in terms of its price, and that's helping the earnings of energy stocks, and we're starting to see the energy stocks come alive again. I think there may be some opportunity there for traders, but longer term investors should be careful about initiating positions because many of those oil stocks are up a lot over the last 12 months. All right, let's take a look at currencies now. UUP is the symbol for the US dollar. A little bit of weakness there after the Fed announcement, but still in a relative upward trend in the last 6 or 8 months. Just in the very short term, it's had some weakness. So short term, a little bit soft. Bitcoin has been soft for some time. Again, let's take a look at that 3-year weekly chart. And there you can see when the upward trend line was broken, and we've been in a downward trend ever since. Until we can break that downward trend line, we should remain pretty bearish on Bitcoin. You can see the sentiment stock scores are pretty low, and so be careful with Bitcoin. All right, let's take a look at the bond market. The bond market moving to new lows, which means investors sort of pricing in the expectation for higher interest rates. I think, general expectation is maybe a 25% chance in the different betting markets that you have that there'll be a raise in rates. But for the most part, it's still likely that rates will remain down, but the bond market is showing a little bit of concern here. And I think that that could impact stocks negatively if we see a raise in rates. So my ratings then, let's bullish on both time frames for US large cap. NASDAQ still neutral short term as we are below resistance, but the long-term trend is up. So bullish. Same for US small caps, bullish on both time frames. Canadian stocks, gold short-term bullish, but long-term neutral. Oil neutral on both time frames. US dollar short-term bearish, but longer-term neutral. Bitcoin neutral in the short term, bearish in the long term, and bonds bearish on both time frames. All right, now it's time to take a look at the trade of the week. And this is ONFO, which was one of the more active stocks on Friday. It was a pretty slow trading day on Friday, but this one first makes an action candle here, but it had quite a bit of pessimism going back into the pre-market. Then at this point, it breaks up from a rising bottom with my action candle indicator, and that led to a pretty strong run in terms of price gain, about a 50% move there in half an hour or so. The stock then goes into a pennant pattern, breaks from the pennant with a message candle. That's a setup for another strategy I use called a superhero. When you get a message candle, which is a strong price move, out of a predictive pattern like a pennant that sets up as long as support isn't broken. And we had another strong move on ONFO later in the day. So a couple of opportunities on a stock that was very abnormal, very liquid, and that's what we always want to watch for. Hope you've enjoyed this week's video. If so, do me a favor, click on the like button, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and as always, trade well.